A series of fatal slashes ended with the Demon King's head being severed. This blond young man stood still before a severed head several times larger than himself, mumbling, "Get up, hero. There's no more time. Stand up and fight." The members of the dungeon conquest team were stunned as the boss at the Black Gate, feared by all, was defeated in a single strike. After a while, the awakened woman stammered and asked, "Who are you?" Hearing her voice, the man turned around and replied, "The knight among knights, I carry the faith and will of the Leon Dragonia temples." But to understand why this man was so powerful, we must go back 300 years to a strange scene of a futuristic world very different from Korea. The protagonist realized he had been reincarnated, becoming the son of a noble Grand Duke family. His youth was spent grinding harder than hell to earn recognition from the goddess and become a holy knight roaming everywhere to slay demons and accumulate merits. Remarkably, by age 20, Leon's dream came true when he met the goddess Ariana and was honored with her blessing to become a holy knight as he had wished since childhood. Then one day the entire kingdom heard that King Leonhat had died after the battle against the Demon King. To stabilize the kingdom without a king, the goddess Ariana took action and gave Leon a new mission. She granted him the lion's heart to extend his lifespan so he could continue his demon-slaying journey. Thanks to that, Leon officially became the new king of this kingdom. But where there's someone who builds, there's someone who destroys. While he and his knights bent their backs fighting demons, the Empire's necromancer dogs summoned the Lord of Chaos right in the capital. When Leon was 121 years old, the world was dragged to the brink of extinction in the final battle between the knights and thousands of demons. The people were slaughtered, and all soldiers perished. Leon was the only survivor who continued the endless fight. He fought alone, clinging to his ideals, until at 300 years old at the moment he swung a light sword to sever the Demon King's head. The long battle finally came to an end. He fought from the time he wore armor and a fur cloak until he had nothing left, not even a belt, when it was finally over. Today, a dungeon conquest squad appeared from nowhere to clash with him, marking a key event that would officially bring our Night King back to the human world once again. Because if he kept playing with demons like that, he might go insane and ruin the whole story. These gates had actually started appearing worldwide 30 years ago, measured by Earth's time. Each gate leads to a world on the brink or already destroyed, and survivors who return are always targeted and recruited by governments at any cost. After 300 years of living and fighting demons in another dimension, as soon as Leon set foot back, he was taken into a room for interrogation. He knew it wouldn't benefit him to reveal the truth that he was once from Earth. The title, King Knight Who Lived 300 Years in Another Dimension, seemed far more valuable than being an orphan who overworked and died suddenly at 20. After a mental struggle to finalize his identity, Leon finally spoke. His first words were, "Call me your majesty." The rustic interrogator who was gathering information froze as if stuck by glue upon hearing that. After a long pause, he reluctantly called him your majesty. The conversation between the two men continued. The bald-headed guy questioned, "Your Majesty's Black Gate world had a conflict with our hunters and you killed all those demons, right?" Leon nodded and confirmed. Then he added that he defeated all demons and protected the honor of the knights, so he would gladly grant him the privilege of recording this great event. The bald interrogator suddenly broke into a sweat over the cultural gap between them. Suddenly Leon spoke up. "Isn't there a royal reception ceremony here, brother?" Hearing that, pressure rose. He hurriedly sent a message to someone telling them to bring food here as soon as possible to stave off hunger for your majesty. While waiting, he entertained himself by telling him a bit about the current world situation and the impending dungeon explosion if the suddenly opened gates aren't dealt with at the root. He was telling the story when the prepared food coincidentally arrived. Leon stared speechless at the stew bones simmered for hours, seasoned with salt, pepper, and a bit of crunchy kimchi. If he suddenly sat down to slurp that delicious soup, now wouldn't that blow his cover? He swallowed hard, slammed the table loudly, then pretended to be clueless, asking what the dish was. Upon hearing that it was seoleongtang, a comfort food of the countryside folks, Leon angrily flipped the table. "Damn it!" He furiously scolded the other, wiping his face without time. "How dare you serve the royal family a dish from the countryside? Is this how your kingdom treats the royal family of another nation?" Leon had every right to be angry. Although he just returned to Earth, he was still a Night King, who had dedicated his life so now he couldn't even have a better meal. After his fiery outburst that shattered the monster-proof glass, Leon calmly sat down, sliced the fragrant steak, and ate it, exuding a noble aura while drinking 1993 red wine. Meanwhile, the two government officials were completely stunned. Kim Jin-soo, head of the Korean Hunters Association, dared not face him and only stammered, telling his assistant to go inside and talk to Han Harry. She went pale hearing this. She tried to refuse repeatedly, but finally mustered the courage to face that scary room. Leon felt much more favorable toward this young lady. He told the other to sit down, then clearly explained why he was so upset. "The reason I give you a hard time isn't the humble food, but your attitude toward the king. According to him, when welcoming a royal family from another country, they should be treated with the utmost respect, because this affects the safety of an entire nation. Not a joke." Han Harry's face turned dark upon hearing these superior remarks. She clasped her hands sincerely. "Please forgive my ignorance, sir." But thinking of her mission, she regained composure and asked if he would allow the government to take care of him from now on. Leon remained silent, not replying immediately. Although only 25 survive on Earth, he understood that government people highly value survivors returning from dungeons. They don't care about the requests made, but focus on preventing people like him from joining other nations. Cooperating to fight demons was no problem for him. However, something extremely obstructive was happening here. Leon, calm just moments ago, now shouted, "A king would never abase himself to be a soldier in another country's army. I will form my own squad of knights right here in this world with the mindset that all beings are inferior. If I alone am superior, then fine. How can I argue against that?" Han Harry left the room looking utterly exhausted. Suddenly, the control room echoed with a warning siren. All staff phones received a message that a dungeon had just appeared in the Honam Plains. Kim Jin-soo gripped his phone tightly with a very troubled expression. He worried that if a dungeon broke out near the storage facility, those cruel elements would destroy all the food supplies. Hearing that, Han Harry suddenly remembered SR rank hunter Ion 1 from the Phoenix Association. How could he fail to stop an orange gate there? Her boss obviously knew this, but was convinced those bastards were deliberately letting things happen. So he hurriedly ordered everyone to rush over and see what was really going on. Sure enough, just as he thought, when they arrived at the gate, Phoenix Association leader Lee Yong-wan and his people were already waiting. Judging by his arrogant face, he knew this guy deliberately let the dungeon break out because the government rejected his request. The Phoenix Association is a bunch of blood-sucking demons. They make huge money from byproducts of the Demon Stone gates and monster materials, and then they want the government to exempt their taxes to earn billions more. The clever bastards pushed Han Harry to speak first. "Hunter Lee Young-won, we need to close the gate immediately. Starting today, the time will be 1 week. If we leave it like this," she wouldn't even finish her sentence before he silenced her by saying his guild members were severely injured and couldn't go clear the dungeon right now. It was obvious he was lying. Han Harry got furious and yelled that they had no patriotism left. They didn't think about the people at all. Lee Yong-won, however, burst out laughing and kept insisting that he knew nothing. The only thing he understood was that in this world, justice is determined by money and power. Now Leon couldn't stand it anymore. He stepped forward and called him shallow and outdated. Lee Young-won, taught a lesson by a stranger right in front of everyone, stepped up and asked, "Who are you? You don't look any different from a foreigner." Leon was genuinely angered now. He sneered and asked in a low voice, "Shut up, huh? How dare a lowly person like you open your mouth and say such things to me?" Neither would back down. Just as they were about to fight Han, Harry hurried in to mediate. "Stop it. Hunter Lee Young-won is a survivor." The other guy paused at that, but a second later he completely flipped. He greeted Leon in a Western style, but because his opening was so rude, Leon ignored him entirely. He turned to Kim Jin-soo and Han Harry and ordered them to report what was happening here. "There's nothing better than having a strong ally." Han Harry quickly spoke up. "This is a dungeon outbreak. When it happens, a large amount of harmful elements are released, polluting the land. And obviously, crops cannot grow on contaminated soil." According to her, the Honam Plain was an extremely important food storage area. The best solution is to purify it and clear the dungeon as fast as possible. Leon stood before the large orange gate with no worry, saying he would soon enter and help them defeat the monsters. But no matter what, a king like him cannot casually participate in any foreign military actions. He needed her to report back to him. He would wait until receiving approval from this country's king before taking any action. Harry was frustrated but said nothing. She was willing to let him act recklessly, but Leon firmly refused. Everything has legal issues and rules. How can you call yourself an honorable warrior if you don't obey the orders of this nation? Hurry and send word to your king. Although it's redundant, the government faction was forced to contact the president just to assure Leon that he would agree. That same evening, she prepared a few things as requested and brought a doll to him, wanting to ask what it was for. Earlier, he had asked Han Harry to find women with children and have them make the doll by hand. This was the reason a doll-making contest was immediately held in this plain region. Holding the first doll in his hands, Leon angrily tore it apart in an instant. Many other dolls were brought one after another, but none escaped the fate of being tossed aside. If they looked ugly, he cursed them harshly, cursing so much the women couldn't lift their heads. Until an 80-year-old woman brought out a doll, then the foul-mouthed king softened a bit. He grabbed her hand and started a conversation. "How many children have you given birth to?" She answered 12. Surprisingly, the old lady almost got Leon to suggest the president award her a medal for her dedication. After getting what he wanted, Leon now returned with everyone to the gate. A quick ritual was performed within the magic circle. He took out a finely crafted cup and began speaking words of worship to the Earth Mother Goddess here. A bright golden light flashed. Then water suddenly appeared in the cup and kept rising. The sun was rising as countless droplets began dancing and spilling out, but soon after they gathered onto the doll lying right next to it. Needless to say, everyone around was shocked and scared by this sight. The doll could stand up, not only that it could speak with all reverence and respect. Leon bowed to the goddess who had just appeared before him. "Child greetings to Earth Mother, Demira, goddess of life and lord of abundance." He told Goddess Demira about what happened here, not forgetting to sarcastically mention a few aggressive, lowly thugs beside him who were ugly and liked to play the role of evil gods. Hearing this, Demira comforted him that foolishness and greed are not always considered sins. These are inherent traits in human nature. "So, what do you want to do now?" Leon replied immediately. "The god will ensure that duty and power can coexist here. The god will correct these fools and guide them onto the right path." Goddess Demira felt very pleased with the apostle's good spirit. Therefore, she decided to spread her divinity and quench the land's thirst with her own flesh and blood. A drop of water fell with a plop from the doll's hand onto the ground. The entire rice field that had been withered by evil energy was instantly purified, sprouting and bearing lush golden rice stalks. Li Ion-Kwang took some rice in his hand, but his face twisted as if a monkey had just eaten chili. He shouted, "Everyone don't be fooled. Those crops were grown using magic and are extremely poisonous." I'm sure that's something everyone already knows. Not only that, he aggressively insulted Goddess Demira as nothing but a stupid straw puppet. Oh, truly a low-class country bumpkin. Leon looked at him with utter disdain. He said, "I can only forgive your stupidity this one last time, so don't dirty the goddess's name with your foul mouth anymore." Liang Guan was angry, but couldn't argue. He was unwilling to accept that his plan was about to fail because of a stranger. So he started looking for another reason to prove that what had just happened was a fake god scam. He called someone from the Phoenix Society and introduced, "This is the appraiser." That guy wasn't some amateur and quickly used his abilities to verify the rice just harvested. A description board immediately appeared before everyone's eyes, stating that this was indeed rice blessed by the gods. Moreover, it could cure third-degree diseases, even cancer, if eaten over a long period. Finally, having some food, why hesitate to light the fire? Kim Jinsu called his subordinate immediately. "Someone go get a pot from the minister's house." After some cooking, everyone quickly made a bowl of white rice to restore their strength. While Kim Jisoo was still stunned by the healing ability, Assistant Han Harry hurriedly carried a bowl of rice over. The group, upon hearing that eating an insect from this field would yield corn, their eyes lit up brighter than headlights. And of course, what must happen did happen. A peaceful scene appeared. The young men suddenly turned into children chasing insects noisily across the field. Goddess Demira, seeing there was nothing left for her to do, informed Leon that she would be leaving. Before leaving, she didn't forget to place her hand on his head and kindly remind him, "Whatever you do, remember to eat well and fill your stomach." The doll then fell with a thud onto the table and returned to its lifeless form. At that moment, Leon looked toward the giant orange vortex and said to Han Harry, "Once the warriors have eaten their fill, we will enter through the gate. watching the group prepare to leave. Lee Young-won's face twisted in bitterness, as if working on Saturdays and Sundays without getting paid $5,000. But then he thought that Leon's role was probably just to bless and grow corn so he would become useless in battle. Convinced that his thoughts were correct, he couldn't help but laugh and say, "That means they are sure to fail." Inside the dark, damp orange dungeon filled with the dry bones of previous victims, the Government Association hunters followed the group. Everyone's face was tense except for Leon, who was completely different. He muttered to himself, "A one-on-one fight with the boss, I like that." Han Harry, who was ahead, heard that and fell silent. What boss invades alone? They always bring the whole gang to gang up. Oh my God, luckily. Cheers. Later, Leon realized this place didn't have just one boss. Han. Harry then happily added some knowledge. Usually monsters decrease when defeated, but skeletons, zombies, or demons in certain special cases will be endlessly resurrected as long as the boss is still alive. Now Leon is completely clear-headed. While the two were still talking, a bright red warning board appeared clearly stating that a dungeon explosion had begun. Commander Knight Dullahan was advancing with his army, ordering everyone to defeat him within 3 hours. The hunters from the Government Association had just received their mission when countless skeletal warriors charged from afar. They were commanded by a knight with a head in 2 places. Seeing such a huge enemy force, Dullahan and everyone else panicked. Kim Jisoo immediately spoke up, instructing everyone to stay calm, and asked his subordinates how many enemy archers and mages were ahead. Upon hearing the question, the subordinate replied immediately, "Currently, I see 30 archers and 2 mages." After grasping the situation, Kim Jin-soo ordered his archers to aim for long-range shots. Meanwhile, the shield-bearers were responsible for blocking the monsters advancing forward. The battle officially began. An impatient skeletal warrior charged straight at Kim Jin-soo and swung his sword in a powerful strike. With his experience, he immediately raised his shield to block. However, the strength of this skeleton was greater than he had imagined. But for a B-ranked tank like him, he still had enough strength to give it a hammer blow right through the head in return. Just after taking down one demon, he suddenly realized that the 2 enemy mages could cast high-level magic. Kim Jisoo immediately shouted to attract their attention towards himself. A stream of magic flew at him with a loud crash. He was still fine thanks to some government-sponsored Red Earth equipment. But as he looked up, the boss knight had already ridden his horse right in front of him. One hand held his own head while the other gripped a large blade. Yet with just a light swing, he sent his opponent flying far away. Glancing at the team leader struggling beside the rubble and the other teammates who didn't seem much better, Han. Harry thought of the person who could defeat the great demon lord and ran over to plead, "Sir, please help us." Unexpectedly, she received a look full of contempt and a face more arrogant than ever. A king would never bother with such a small fight. To Leon, telling someone they could defeat the Demon King with a single strike, and fighting some walking skeletons was nothing but disrespect to a divine being. That's it, don't expect the person in front of you to lift a finger. Han Harry knew he had no intention of helping to eliminate the skeletal soldiers, so she decisively turned to her teammates and said she would handle the boss herself. She gave a few instructions to her subordinates and then dashed straight toward Knight Dullahan. A very impressive mid-air flip followed by an unexpected sword swing at him, though it was blocked. The young woman was busy planning in her mind. One slip-up and she was distracted by the enemy's floating head. Dullahan threw his head to draw attention. Then he immediately delivered a powerful punch that knocked her back just like he did with team leader Kim Jisoo. That hit almost cracked Han Harry's back, but she managed to survive. Unexpectedly, when she looked up, the horse carrying the knight was right in front of her. Seizing this God-given opportunity, the young woman didn't run, but immediately launched a wide-area strike in retaliation against the one who hurt her. A huge explosion engulfed everything in smoke and fire. Dullahan couldn't dodge in time and was hit. He roared and wildly swung his sword, trying to get away. But Han Harry couldn't let it go. She aimed carefully at the head in his hand and thrust with all her might. Unexpectedly, she was anticipated and blocked by the blade. The enemy naturally didn't spare her, but luckily when Dullahan counterattacked, he was distracted by someone's applause. The one who seemed most entertained was none other than the national comedian Leon. He clapped loudly and kept praising the sword skills of the one standing before him. Pretty good to fight one-handed against a battle of monsters that would cause a headache. Leon heroically shouted, "Oh, anonymous knight, a singing king grants you the right to challenge me. Let's end this battle with a duel between the 2 knights. Wait about 2 seconds." After hearing the challenge, both the humans and demons on both sides were stunned silent. Everyone thought the boss would never accept this, but how could they have guessed the other side actually nodded in agreement? After Dullahan accepted a solo duel with Leon, the skeletons looked up in surprise, but then they had to move their clumsy, bony feet. The forces of both sides stepped back and stood around. Leon stood there looking at the headless knight and said with admiration, "Great knight, relax a little." After finishing, he created a magic circle and summoned a sword that popped up. Then Leon continued, "I remember your sword style uses dual blades, right? It's not suitable to fight with a one-handed weapon like this." This made Dullahan a bit confused. He stood there silently without saying anything. At the same time, Harry called out, "Your Majesty, look at the sword in front of you." In response, "What is it?" She analyzed that Dullahan guy can't be defeated unless you cut off his head. Hearing that Leon was a bit surprised and said, "Really, does that matter?" His naivety made Harry freeze completely. That was obvious, she thought to herself. How could he possibly defeat Dullahan without cutting off his head? Leon confidently insisted that it wasn't that important. What decides victory is the honor of a knight. He raised his sword and continued, "In the name of the first knight under the witness of the goddess of light and justice, I, Duke Dragonia, and also King Leon I." Meanwhile, Dullahan remained silent, extending his hands to grip the great sword with both hands. Leon's voice continued, "Will grant the honorable knight a duel that can wait no longer." Dullahan, who was not much for words, jumped forward quickly where Leon was waiting, leaping up and raising his sword, ready to strike down. Leon still did not move, maintaining a very calm stance. Dullahan's strike was unleashed, leaving a long streak of light behind him, chopping straight down where Leon had just stood, shattering the ground. After the dust cleared, Leon was still standing coldly, having raised his sword to head height, easily deflecting the lethal blow. Where the weapons clashed, a flash of light glowed from the immense force. Leon tilted the sword slightly down, creating a gentle, swirling wind. Then Dullahan's huge sword dropped with a thud while Leon's sword was placed on the headless neck. Leon looked coldly and declared a kill, his sword point aimed straight at the blue light on Dullahan's neck. Immediately, Dullahan jumped back behind a beam to keep a safe distance, but showed no sign of stopping. Dullahan turned slightly with his great sword at his hip, readying for the next strike. As fast as lightning, the seemingly heavy sword was swung lightly, and another streak of light appeared. This time it aimed at Leon's neck. Seeing Leon remain unusually still, Harry worried inside. If he blocks like that. She anxiously shouted, "Your Majesty!" The team behind shared the same fearful expression. In contrast to them, Leon was calm and confident, his eyes looking through the mortal world, mocking, "Your footwork is too weak now." No one had time to see anything, only the scene was now astonishing. Leon stood there with the sword swing while Dullahan lay flat on the shattered ground. The sound of destruction echoed throughout the dungeon. Jisoo exclaimed in shock, "What just happened?" "Did you see that?" The team member behind was sweating, asking if he just struck. Harry clasped her hands and admired it was amazing, then immediately looked at him and asked if he saw it. Harry was the only one who understood what had happened in that battle. She thought to herself that he changed the sword's balance by twisting it right at the moment of impact. Moreover, he made a horizontal slash at the same time. She looked at the scene before her where Dullahan was kneeling before Leon and silently concluded that no one would dare to do that. Meanwhile, Leon continued stepping forward, pointing his sword at Dullahan's head. Leon stood proudly looking down, counting the kill for the second time, saying to Dullahan, "Get back into a defensive stance." Meanwhile, Harry's train of thought continued analyzing. He could do it because he was overwhelmingly dominant. It had also been a while since Leon defeated a knight in a proper honorable duel. It seemed like a trick to overcome adversity. Any knight would think that way upon receiving an offer to dismount from the opponent. Meanwhile, the battle was still ongoing. Dullahan stood up. If his past opponents ever thought like that, it was a foolish thought. Look at Leon right now standing tall with a gaze as if he had endured countless battles. To everyone, he was like a star, always pursuing honor and excellence. Leon spoke. "I will try to unleash that sword strike and see how it goes." Without further ado, he swung a horizontal strike at Dullahan. A ring of light appeared as it had before. Dullahan staggered. The powerful sword force made the large blade in his hand flip backward. Leon continued to lightly strike the chest armor of Dullahan and counted the third hit. He had reached the pinnacle of a knight, the king of knights worthy of respect and challenge. Leon coldly asked, "Do you want to continue?" In Dullahan's mind, he told himself, "I don't want to use my soul's summoning power." I want to fight this man countless times the way of a knight. Then almost immediately after that thought stopped, he stomped forward. Dullahan prepared to swing his sword properly, following the path of knights. Leon stood still without moving but was flexible enough to deflect all of his attacks. Dullahan silently affirmed not to use soul summoning, using only his sword against him, just as he had fought famous knights before while wandering the world with the honor of a knight. To him, Leon's eyes were sharp, his demeanor proud, and his power overwhelming. Dullahan stood there seemingly forgetting everything after becoming a headless knight. His sword was spinning and flying back to its sheath. As it fell with a thud into the ground behind him, Leon continued to count the 10th hit. He commented, "Your swordsmanship is gradually becoming more accurate. Have you perhaps recalled your previous life?" Dullahan still could not speak, only growls coming from his headless neck. Inside, he was crazed with excitement. "Great knight, you have brought me back to my glorious past." Leon asked again with the same question, "Do you want to continue?" The knight responded only with growling sounds. The skeletons behind showed astonished expressions. Dullahan's head in their hands had been watching the battle all along. He looked at the two with eyes full of thought. Dullahan stepped forward, took his head from the summoner's hands, and held his own head against his chest. He wondered, when did I start this brutal massacre? He recalled a bit from the past when Dullahan stood there with his summoned soldiers atop a mountain of corpses. He continued to question himself. How long have I been fighting and lost my pride? If I can end this cursed journey like this, I would be truly satisfied. Thinking that, he suddenly knelt down. Dullahan unexpectedly knelt before Leon and offered his head toward him. Leon smiled contentedly. Wonderful. I'm glad you've regained your own honor. He placed his hand on that head. A radiant glow appeared along with Leon's warm voice. I will pray for you. He closed his eyes and continued speaking to Dullahan. If you ever believed in a god, I pray that God grants your soul peace. If not, then I pray the goddess will guide you to the end of heaven. Leon looked at him and smiled. Great knight. I hope one day to meet you again at the Feast of the Gods. Let this place be filled with light. As he finished speaking, the entire dungeon was filled with a blinding light. Dullahan's head was slowly dissolving, and the armor on his body began to disappear, revealing a human hand. The long-forgotten face of Dullahan also appeared within the glorious light, returning to Leon Dragonia. Leon sat for a while after conquering the dungeon, while the entire Hunter Guild conquest team was each busy cleaning up outside. Harry stood there, saying he still kept his promise. Jisoo continued he really ended it in a one-on-one fight. Recalling a bit from that dungeon, that dazzling golden light made her eyes widen in astonishment. But what kind of light was that? It seemed like he said to let this place blaze with light. Back to reality. Jisoo wondered if that was what he called holy power. That must be why the zombies disappeared immediately after. Harry complained a bit, frustrated that he should have used that skill sooner. Just then Leon appeared and spoke up. If I had done that, the great knight would have ended up as a summoner, not as a knight anymore. Hearing that, and seeing him standing there, she could only reply respectfully, Yes, your majesty. The image of Dullahan continued appearing with Leon's explanations. The knight always lived by the word honor. Honor comes from actions, and actions come from will. Dullahan received what he deserved as a noble knight. He turned to look at the distant field ahead. Now I will go claim my loot. Where there is battle, there is loot. Those words made the two hunters look puzzled. Then on a piece of black cloth lay a sword and a sphere, both radiating a purple energy. Jisoo frowned and marveled, Hey, this seems to contain a lot of mana. Harry was amazed. Dullahan's greatsword and cloak are here too. Leon's gaze focused on that sphere. The mana it emitted was hard for anyone to resist. He started thinking, his face not very happy, moreover looking frustrated. While Jisoo exclaimed this would sell for a fortune. Leon then shouted back from the trash heap and directly destroyed the sphere. Besides the sword remaining intact, the sphere was completely destroyed, now reduced to rubble. Those present were stunned and regretful at this decisive action. Leon frowned seriously and said things like this only bring bad luck. Scene changes to somewhere in the Hunter Guild after conquering the dungeon. Harry sighed deeply, tiredly pushing a cart with food and intending to go inside. Her face was gaunt with dark circles under her eyes. Leon had been back on Earth for 4 days. Harry, suddenly startled. So many things have happened in such a short time, so tiring. There was a small chaos about taxes. Leon felt something was wrong, showing indignation. What, I'm a king, yet have to pay taxes to another country's king? Harry prepared to explain about taxes, but before she could finish, Leon interrupted. Don't talk about that cheap money anymore. They aren't worthy of a king like me discussing. He said that, leaving Harry speechless and helpless. Stop talking about money, I'm losing interest here. The issue of accepting followers to build the temple was also a problem. The villagers gathered around asking, so how will we supply the products? Leon announced seriously, 90% supply that amount of products as offerings. I'm already being too generous. The farmer looked confused and complained taxes and living expenses are already very heavy, so if we pay 90% of the products. He crossed his arms and asserted to them the goddess's followers don't need to worry about food or clothing. All living benefits and everything else will be handled by our guild. Harry reassured the two holding a piece of paper. Remember the blessings from the goddess on the rice plants. Isn't it amazing? The two farmers were surprised 80 keys rice bags cost 150,000. Source, they were excited a single bag was already worth that much. So even if we pay most of the products, we will still benefit a lot. We trust you. Leon stood there smiling contentedly, but the biggest problem lies with him. Leon shouted in the room, "This isn't a battlefield, yet there's no artwork hanging above the bed of a king like me." Harry stood behind, stammering that not only wanted a truly luxurious and high-end bed, he also wanted servants to take care of him constantly, and he wanted artworks hung above the bed as well. She had no choice but to call and search for another place in the middle of the night. "Hello, sorry for calling so late." In the end, Harry had to go around 5-star hotels until 2 a.m. to rent the perfect room. She knelt before Leon, tears streaming down her face, begging His Majesty, please go to sleep. She was waiting for the final verdict. He also compromised with a room decorated with paintings and ceramic items placed around. For now, that was all. Harry stepped forward and called inside, "Your Majesty, Han's servant. Harry is here." Inside, Leon allowed her to enter. She pushed in the food cart and asked, "Are you well, sir?" He sat in the chair, looking out the window, and replied, "Is there something wrong?" Harry approached Leon. "This is the royal meal. Please enjoy it, sir." Leon held a glass of wine, eyes still closed, concerned. "Have you eaten breakfast yet?" She honestly replied, "Not yet, sir." He advised, "At least bring some food for yourself. Don't go hungry." Harry was sweating nervously, stammering, "Yes, sir." She opened the food lid, revealing a table full of delicious and fragrant dishes. Her eyes widened and her mouth naturally curved into a smile. "Looks so good I should buy sandwiches to bring next time." Suddenly Leon spoke, startling her to turn around. "Sit down." Harry blushed shyly, thinking, could His Majesty be planning to share the meal with me? She sat down at the table, her face lighting up with a bright smile. He asked curiously, "What are you doing?" She didn't understand his meaning and simply replied, "Yes." Leon turned back with a cold face. "I was going to ask you to cut me a piece of the ribs to eat." Harry froze. She hadn't expected him to say that. "Not that you were going to share with me." Leon kept his indifferent expression, eyes showing irritation. "A king like me can never be humble with a commoner like you." Hearing that, she just remained silent. The car left the large hotel and moved to another location. Inside the luxury car, Harry reported the Hunters Association has decided to support His Majesty's settlement. Although it's not a grand palace with royal flair, it's still very luxurious. Leon seriously evaluated, "This is something to care about. A person of my status cannot allow people to slander me." Harry asked about the distribution of spoils. "Sir, about—" Before she could finish, Leon said, "I already ordered you to handle that part yourself." He was also not easygoing, but said, "Don't touch that cloak. I'm quite fond of it." She could only smile awkwardly and let it pass. The car stopped at a high-rise building. Harry quickly announced, "We've arrived, Your Majesty." He stepped out looking serious. She introduced, "This place is very close to the Hunters Association. There's even a helipad on the rooftop, so in emergencies we can use it for transportation." Harry excitedly asked, "How do you find the atmosphere here, sir?" Leon just grunted without answering, looking at the decorations right outside the courtyard with a puzzled gaze. What are these strange things anyway? The two entered the lobby together, where everything was neatly arranged. A person had been waiting for a long time. She was Assistant Han. That person asked, "You're Harry from the Hunters Association, right?" Harry was startled. "I don't know about today's secret trip." "Who is this?" The man smiled warmly. "Just happened to be here. I'm Park Jong-chan, director of Du Young Mirafos at Du Young Group." She smiled somewhat falsely. Duyoung Group. Duyoung Group is one of the 3 largest conglomerates in Korea, yet now pretending to be coincidental and waiting here. Jong Chan gave a smile that wasn't very friendly and let out a shout. He continued. This must be the famous recent survivor. Harry had already guessed I knew it. Jong Chan smiled more sinisterly and extended his hand. Nice to meet you guys. Are you Leon Dragonia? Leon's face darkened with anger. Just a bunch of merchants trying to shake my hand. Inside the room, the sound of discussion echoed, This is where the association will serve His Majesty for the entire year. Harry reviewed the contract while explaining, The association will cover all management fees and rent, so you don't need to worry. Additionally, room service and cleaning staff are paid through management fees, so I think you can use them. She gritted her teeth, tense and thoughtful. Luckily, information about the survivors is a top secret. Harry recalled that moment, not knowing what Park Jong-chan's intentions were, but fortunately Leon ignored him. Harry turned around puzzled. But what exactly did that guy come here to see His Majesty about? Leon explained slowly, his face distant. That merchant probably came here for profit. She curiously asked, Profit? Harry realized, because of the rice blessed by the gods, right? Someone had been eavesdropping. At that time, the situation was extremely urgent, so controlling the information properly was impossible. The eavesdropper eagerly took advantage of the opportunity, and many broadcasters and internet TV stations recorded it. Our association has repeatedly advised them to delete that video. Harry glared at her phone, her face darkened. Someone posted it online. On the phone screen was a clip titled, Rice Blessed by the Gods. It was from the Park family again. Jong Chan couldn't contain his anger. He clenched his phone and cursed, Damn it! Rong Trang turned red with anger, shouting at that bastard Vin. He turned to question the staff. Hey, are you sure this rice is effective? The staff stammered, Yes, definitely. He continued, We haven't even done clinical trials yet. The experiments on mice succeeded, but are we sure it works on humans? The staff frowned, uncertain, scratching his face. Mina stood beside him and reported, Director, I have contacted the owner of that field to secure as many seeds as possible. But there I saw a dead dog come back to life. And someone even cured chronic rhinitis completely. The villagers who ate that rice were completely cured of both minor and serious illnesses. Rong Trang listened while wearing a sinister expression. We don't have clinical trial data, but we believe it's proven. He nodded. So that's it. Rong Trang frowned in annoyance. But it's crazy that he dared to... He recalled Leon's face then. How dare those merchants collude against me? Jong Chan was bitter, treating a world-class director like me with such arrogance. Mina continued reporting, Director, this must succeed. The potential of that rice variety is limitless. Jong Chan tensed. I know. So I have to meet him again. He slammed his hand hard on the table. I can't believe in Korea there's still someone who looks down on a successful businessman like me. Rong Trang gritted his teeth. Just because you own a few grains of rice, you act all high and mighty. You picked the wrong opponent, you savage survivor. He smiled frighteningly. You're just like all the other survivors, always lagging behind civilization, but foolishly thinking your world is the most advanced. Rong Trang smirked. His face darkened. Get ready for culture shock, you fool. Leon appeared shining brightly, returning to Earth. He set 3 initial goals. Spread faith in the gods. Statues worshipped appeared under the light. There are many gods and believers on Earth, but true divine power doesn't exist. A god should be worshipped and bless the world, yet people still suffer illness, and the land becomes more polluted. People gather at the temple, so to harness divine power, a new belief must be created. Therefore, many must believe in a second new god. Train temple knights, warriors clad in shining armor. In this world, there is no warrior organization that uses divine power. They fight with all of their might. If the protector of Lionheart's holy grail is considered a demigod, then temple knights are saints. Each strike and slash falls. They are knights of the gods wielding divine power. They bring fear to demons, and ultimately to slaughter all the demons ravaging this land, restore divine power, and nurture the temple knights. Leon stood proudly on the victory he had just fought to achieve. He stood in silence. It was necessary to spread trust and maintain balance as well as order in Pantheon to nurture the holy knights properly. Expecting the holy knights to show up in a place like this was a bit much. Leon considered with distant eyes, but that matter didn't concern him. He just needed to fulfill his own duty. Harry's call caught Leon's attention. "Your Majesty, a person requests an audience with you." He thought for a moment, then decided, if they have gone through the necessary procedures, there's no reason not to hear them. The whole group entered the room where Leon was sitting along with Harry. Zhongchan greeted respectfully, "Thank you for granting us an audience, Your Majesty." Leon propped his chin on his hand and looked at them without saying a word. His eyes gleamed with a light as if he had recognized something. Leon thought silently, "That's right. If it's for business interests, I can certainly bow to this foolish madman." Meanwhile, Rongtrang looked fearful, and this time I also brought a small gift. His staff brought out a large suitcase and placed it in front of him. Zhongchan smiled and said, "Please accept this." In his mind, he thought she would be very surprised when she saw what it was. Rongtrang forced a crooked smile. "A top-tier luxury item that even a madman like you couldn't dream of seeing. Once you try it, you won't be able to go back. I will make you beg me to become your manager." Only then did Leon speak. "So you've put a lot of effort into this?" He firmly said, "Then I will accept." Zhongchan couldn't believe it. Accept it. He felt annoyed by the attitude, accepting it as if doing him a favor. Zhongchan clapped on the suitcase. "Why don't you take a look and see what it is? I'm sure you'll like it." Leon pointed there. I don't want to waste energy explaining the rules to him. Harry opened it as ordered. "Yes, Your Majesty." Harry quickly moved to open the suitcase he had brought as a gift. She reached out to unlock it. The clicking sound rang out. Suddenly, a gust of wind burst out, flinging the suitcase wide open, making Harry startle and step back. She opened her eyes wide, a drop of sweat fell. "This is—" Zhongchan grunted, his eyes full of displeasure. Zhongchan's suitcase was filled with blades and swords. "These are the most elite weapons, the pride of our corporation. I want you to choose the one you like best." Harry was surprised. "All are special-grade items crafted by the master artisans of Du Dungsao Corporation." Zhongchan was proud. "Exactly. They are the most elite special-grade items among the elite." He excitedly said, "I heard you will now operate as a hunter. These will assist you greatly." Harry was worried. He's just handing over Du Dungsao Corporation's special-grade weapons like that. She stared wide-eyed at those top-tier weapons that even money couldn't buy. "Hey, I only saw these things on a YouTube video back in school." Leon propped his chin, his face annoyed. "Where am I supposed to use these low-level weapons?" Zhongchan shouted. "Low-level." Harry couldn't believe it either. "Your Majesty, what do you mean by low-level?" He explained, "How can a good sword lack the aura of the stars or divine blessings? Are you just using weapons to hunt monsters or what?" Sweat ran down his face. What the hell is he saying? Does he want me to hang swords out to dry like drying chili peppers, and even pray over them? Leon still kept his cold face. "You harbor disloyalty." Merchant Dongchan waved his hand anxiously in protest. "You misunderstand." Leon suddenly changed tone. "All right, as a merchant, boasting about goods wherever you go is normal." He picked up a sword. "This thing can only kill chickens and cows, but I'll try it." Rongtrang and her subordinates gaped. What, he pulled out an ancient sword from Cao Trung? His face twisted. That's all he's got to despise his own weapons like that, this damn madman. He still refused to accept it. "I want to see the power of the sword in your hand, Your Majesty." Zhongchan turned to Harry, his secretary and manager, Harry, who responded, "Yes." He asked Han, "Do you want to try one of the weapons here?" Harry was startled, but excited. "Me?" She looked toward Leon, who had his eyes closed tightly. On the other side, looking hesitant, Harry also began to draw a sword for herself. So she held in her hand the sword she had just been allowed to draw. She carefully admired its image, the sword she had admired for 4 years. The sword of the master craftsman. Park Jinqian Dawn. Harry brought it before her, and she could feel its power. It really felt like it had absorbed the dense sunlight energy of the special gate for 10 days. She couldn't believe it. "Could I really use this?" Leon casually said. "Just swinging a toy. Do you need to ask permission?" Rongtrang heard that and wanted to go crazy, damn it. Harry got into a sword-holding stance, and her eyes shone with anticipation as she held that sword in her hands. On the other side, Leon held out the sword he had pulled out earlier. Harry turned around, energy swirling around her arm as she swung the sword down, shouting, "I'm here!" The sword shattered into pieces with an explosion. Harry's eyes widened in surprise, and the others were startled. She was both regretful and shocked that her beloved sword broke. Leon showed obvious disdain. "It's worse than I thought. What a waste of time." At this point, he looked even more annoyed. "I'll shorten the performance. You have 3 minutes. John Chan couldn't say anything. His head panicked. Dawn is broken. The strongest weapon of the Dullahan Corporation is broken. John Chan was terrified, sweating, and unable to accept it. The clock was ticking, time passed, and he still stammered. "I, Jong Chan, and my subordinates bowed our heads. I want to apply for the rice patent." He looked up. What Jong Chan quickly explained, "Of course we will pay." He frowned. "According to our calculations, it's worth about 180 billion. But he actually understood that its value was much higher. There's no way rice that cures cancer would be worth only that much. John Chang was convinced, but wondered how this crazy guy knew the value of 180 billion won. "He would go crazy when I explained how much that money was worth," Leon questioned. "You said you want to buy rice with money." He smugly said, "Here it is. Yes. Of course you must sign a contract that the Dullahan Corporation will have exclusive rights to the rice. If you want, I can even raise the price." Leon looked angry again, stupid merchant. He became like a lion, his eyes shining. "How dare you insult the divine?" Jong Chan and his subordinates were all scared. He gritted his teeth and said nothing more. The big lion growled right in front of them. Jong Chan panicked. "I'm dead." Leon looked at them coldly. "Fool, do you know your crime yet?" Rung Trang knelt down, trembling all over. "I really don't know what I did wrong." "You need to be purified. Can you be so ignorant and stupid?" He just hung his head, growling. The shining fields of produce were the fruits born from the blessed land of Demira. Just thinking of that image, Leon softened. It was a blessing for the farmers sweating and tilling the land. Demira shone her face full of gentleness, not something that could be bought with gold, but given through gratitude and faith. Accordingly, he stared at them. "You, the cowards, chasing shallow profits and deceiving others. I ask you." The words continued as Rong Trang angrily said, "How can you profit from the produce of the divine when you do not have faith?" Leon was standing watching the night scene when Harry spoke up. "Will it be okay if Director Park Jong-chan leaves like that?" She wondered. From His Majesty's perspective, even if they are unscrupulous merchants, they are still influential people. He still stands there, not worth worrying about. That alone isn't enough to shake the merchants. Leon turned around. "Anyway, have you finished preparing what I told you?" Harry held something in her hands. "I've contacted the association already," but her face suddenly flushed. "This time, His Majesty is also doing an inspection, right?" "According to procedure, measuring inspections will make the work more convenient." He frowned. "What nonsense are you talking about? You said those worthless guys will inspect King Leon?" Harry's eyes wide open, mouth agape. "Then why do you want to go there?" He crossed his arms. "I have to select capable free soldiers. I will inspect them." She hesitated to say that, but according to the procedure, even if Leon was determined not to, he still had to do it. Harry wanted to cry his eyes out. Inside the high-rise building, this year's Gu also arrived, a young D-rank freelance hunter. "Gu DCO Junhyung waved to call Gu over for a rank evaluation, huh?" The spacious waiting hall was carefully arranged. Junhyung looked over approvingly. Gu has really put in effort. Gu could only smile awkwardly. He asked how Han is this year. "Probably going to be promoted, right, DCEO?" He mumbled. "He just has to try harder." Junhyung comforted. "Don't say that. Or maybe you and my team should go." DCEO frowned. "Those without talent get C rank, but I've been stuck at D rank for 15 years. He enthusiastically welcomed saying someone like Gu would honestly and quietly work hard and quickly become a top player. Well, speaking of which, the mining team isn't bad either. Gu smiled and agreed, "That's true, I've already taken the test 15 times. DCO's face was serious. Gu was determined. "Still, I want to try a little harder. If it weren't for conquering dungeons with high life reward payouts, paying off debts would be tight, plus taking care of family. I can't give up." Thoughts swirled in his head. No matter what, he had to reach C rank to escape being a porter. Junhyung was startled and looked over. "Is that a foreigner?" DCO guessed maybe a European. Junhyung was curious, not a foreign laborer. Gu offered an opinion there are poor countries too. But he didn't think so, he's European. Leon revealed a sharp face with a high nose, golden hair, and tall build looking like royalty. Jun-hyung called from behind, making Leon turn around. Hey, young man. He cheerfully approached and asked in English, How are you? Leon angrily looked at him with murderous eyes. Don't deliberately start a conversation with me, commoner. The words froze both Jun-hyung and DCO. Both seemed to turn to stone. He chuckled. That guy learned some Korean oddly, huh? Gu was startled earlier and immediately replied, That's right. Leon looked back. That gaze left DCO speechless. His eyes were sharp and filled with ferocity. Jun-hyung saw DCO trembling all over and wondered, What's wrong with Gu? He asked with concern, Are you hurt? At this moment, DCO felt something was off. In Gu's eyes, Leon stood proudly with powerful energy radiating, making it hard to breathe. It was like something oppressive, something huge. At that moment, the female staff called out Gu DCO number 57. She announced it was his turn and invited him into interview room number 2. DCO quickly turned and said, Yes, I'm coming right away. Leon still stood there, glancing toward DCO. He pondered, Worry showed clearly on Gu's face. Just one person. The female staff checked. Are you okay? DCO answered, I'm fine, just a little nervous. I'm not here to find strong fighters, but no one is worthy to be a knight. Leon's image from earlier stayed vivid in his mind. They were all the same. Before those who came to be tested were all low-rank hunters. At 5 a.m. it was nothing but fools coming to test awakening. Leon Dragonia. Leonard, please enter interview room number 9. From the start, it was an unsatisfactory situation. Room number 9 was where he went for the test. Leon strode in confidently, making everyone turn to look. The staff read his name, Leon Dragonia, call number 77. Leon ordered the commoners to call him His Majesty. The man was confused and stammered, His Majesty, the staff requested that. Please place your hand on the measuring orb here for the test. Leon looked at the orb with an indifferent expression. He was silent for a moment. Leon's face became uncomfortable. No one knew what he was thinking. He grunted for a moment. The staff patiently waited for Leon to finish the test. He uttered a word that made the man dumbfounded and confused. Leon crossed his arms and challenged, How dare a commoner test the honor of a knight? The staff explained that the measurement is not done by us, but by the magic prop. He even more wanted to refute the claim that a machine like this could measure a knight's ability. Leon clearly stated that only honorary knights and the gods can judge knights. The staff's face fell. Why did he even come here? Leon turned away sharply. I came to recruit talented soldiers, but even the examiners are mediocre like this. Recruiting so blatantly, you stand before them with that confident look. So far, I haven't seen anyone satisfactory. What's the next test? The staff immediately replied it was a practical test at the gate. Leon sighed as if he was pleased. Good true ability will show in regular training and real combat. I will inspect. But Leon's words made the staff look terrified. No, it's not an inspection, it's participation. It's a vast space. Everyone knows dizziness symptoms, right? Some people feel dizzy passing through the gate. The sole DC gate, he looked seriously into the distance. Usually completed gates are closed and removed, but some dungeons are intentionally kept for profit. This soul gate is one of those. Everyone please gather this way. This year's measurement isn't much different from last year. You look around and at everyone to reverse your evaluation. You must be active in this practical test. People are also excited to check it out. So this is the gate. Nation happily said this place is totally a hotspot. Taehun reminded Jin before anything turn off your phone. DC looked at the worried face. Are you two new, fresh and lively? Shout out what a great atmosphere. He was uneasy inside. A man over 60 classified as rank D or maybe C. DC looked back hesitantly, and Leon wearing dark glasses walked like a model. The foreign laborer met earlier in the waiting room. DC frowned. Taking the promotion test at this age must mean a rookie. Except for the old man, everyone else are rookies. While he worried deeply, Leon pulled down his glasses and struck a cool pose. Is this okay? A group of hunters gathered together. Let's confirm our positions. DC introduced the first person. Gu Deo, 15 years old hunter. Profession warrior. Main role dealer. Taehun smiled and greeted, I'm Taehun, awakened this year using spear and shield. The girl next to him smiled brightly. I'm his sister, Senazion. I use a sword group lately learning archery. DC frowned, showing concern about these rookies not knowing their limits. He considered asking if the two had any schooling. The two confidently posed. My sister and I have been at the academy for 3 months. DC's face went black rookie. Then he turned to the old man. What about the old man? He clasped hands behind his back. The old man was Oh Kang Tae with 5 years' experience. His weapon was gloves. Though awakened, he had been busy working and only recently retired. By this point, he no longer felt hopeful. Too little experience for his age. Plus, his weapon being gloves made it hard to compare with spears and swords. DC scratched his head and looked toward Leon. Is the last one a foreign laborer? Can you speak Korean? He tilted his head toward him. Leon stroked his chin silently. Seriously said I don't fight, I can't use a sword to chop dragons or catch chickens. That comment sounded odd to DC. This guy's Korean is problematic. Everyone started moving deeper into the forest. For this test, you only need to hunt 50 goblins. The supervisor announced. Sometimes interesting things appear on the battlefield. If dangerous, the supervisor will personally intervene. So focus confidently on demonstrating your abilities. DC listened silently. Tae-hun looked quite curious. He was sweating. Will this test be okay? Earlier, DC asked about Leon. This foreign young man doesn't use any weapons. Nazi and friendly hands over the bow. Here you go, handsome, I'll lend you the weapon. Do you know how to use a bow? Leon took the bow and said someone like me using it. She happily agreed, yes, you use it, and then return it to me. Suddenly, his face tightened in anger. His hand holding the bow trembled. Leon threw the bow hard to the ground, startling everyone. A knight doesn't use such a low-level ranged weapon. Nazian shouted, my bow. The supervisor didn't understand what was happening. What are you doing? And DC was speechless. He felt quite hopeless. If it's like this year's test is basically over. DC led the hunting group, pointing forward. Does anyone know a place we can go hunt there? Tae-hun smiled faintly. He has more experience after all. Kang-tai just follows the old man, no objections. Tae-hun went up with him. DC said near the grasslands there's a herd, it should be bigger there. DC explained when the number of people is small, don't rush to disturb their nest. If surrounded, you can't guarantee a retreat path. He planned we will attack the ones living in the caves. We'll burn leaves and grass around to blow smoke inside. He concluded, then looked back. That way we can easily attack the kobolds inside the caves. Nation was very proud and exclaimed, you really are experienced. DC sneered. There's nothing to be proud of in this. He clenched his fist, determined. I've studied all attack methods, imagining one day I'll enter the highest gate, though it's always the soul gate. DC's spirit blazed like fire. This time I have to level up. When will I reach rank D? Suddenly, Tae-hun turned pale with fear, shouting, they're surrounded on all sides. Ahead is the kobold DC turning to command. He shouted, Tae-hun, use your shield to block the front. Yes! The kobold growled, with its big teeth running towards the hunting group, slashing a sword across their faces, leaving a streak. Tae-hun swung his blade, smiling. Idiots, he smirked. If you keep attacking head-on like this, blocking you is easy. Nazion drew her bow, shouting to warn him. Next to you, a kobold is running fast toward Tae-hun. DC stood on the other side and could only shout, Tae-hun kobold. Right up close to his face, razor-sharp teeth looked terrifying. DC warned, don't let your guard down, they're weak, but act very fast. One punch, the kobold was knocked far away, they screamed in pain. Those punches caused each one to be seriously injured. Tae-hun used his specialized weapon to punish them one by one. The kobolds advanced toward him. DC happily said, good, not many left, let's go quickly. Finally, they cleaned up, all exhausted. Tae-hun frowned, I'm sorry, it's my fault. DC comforted him. It's okay, everyone has a first time. The kobolds lay scattered on the ground. Nazion already handled 2 thanks to the old man, no one was hurt. DC encouraged everyone, well done, possibly. He looked at them for a moment, initially a bit dissatisfied, but this group isn't bad. Leon stood there posing as before, except for one person. DC annoyed. Hey, foreign brother, we're all fighting. Why aren't you doing anything? Nazion was no longer happy with Leon either. Right? She turned to him. Just standing and watching from behind like an employee. Is that okay? The employee smiled. Everything will be fully reported. Don't worry. DC stared at him, hesitating. Then let them continue discussing. We go further in the cave will appear soon. The hunting group went inside and soon arrived. They arrived. In front of them was a deep cave. Tae-hun announced, there really is a cave. DC repeated the strategy. Let's burn fire, as I said earlier. They gathered dry leaves and branches into a pile before the cave, each doing their part, then looking around. DC pulls out the lighter he had prepared. Leon steps forward. Do you really think this is the best way? DC frowns irritably. You haven't helped at all, and now you're just babbling. He crosses his arms coldly. I'm asking if that's the best way, don't make me say it twice. He explains, everyone listens closely. I've done this 3 times already, and all 3 times succeeded. Basing it on experience isn't a bad thing, but Leon narrows his eyes. How can you rely on experience when it's still not certain? DC can't stand that attitude and angrily says, "You're still young, what do you know?" Flames begin to catch, spreading quickly through the dry brush. DC turns back to warn, "Everyone gather up soon, some will crawl out from the cave." Everyone responds to the order, yes. They ready themselves for battle. Tae-hun grits his teeth, scared but determined, bring it on. The kobolds start running out one after another, fleeing the smoke. Nazeon readies his bow, it's time. A stone flies straight into a kobold's face, causing it to scream in pain. The 3 of them each take a weapon and begin to attack. DC laughs confidently, "My way can't possibly be wrong." They continue attacking the kobolds. Good, keep handling them like that. He beams proudly, feeling very confident. Once we clear this bunch, just need to catch a few more on the plains, and then... Suddenly, he hears a sound that makes him tremble. That howl, DC recognizes it, the leader. Its head looks more gruesome than any kobold's, and it's huge. No way the leader is the boss of this soul gate ranked higher than sea level. It charges toward the hunter group. Everyone is terrified. DC's face turns pale. Why is it showing up now? The kobold roars menacingly, its eyes glowing red. Nazeon shouts, "DC." He hears a reply. DC lays out the plan. "Tae-hun and I will fight the leader." He turns to Nation, the old man, and the woman. "Nation, you stop the kobolds inside the cave." Everyone hears, "Move to your positions. We need at least 1 experienced person on each side. Besides, it would be suicide for a D rank to face the leader without frontline protection." DC and Tae-hun stand right in front of the leader kobold. Even as a rookie, all I can hope for is the tanker, praying Tae-hun can hold out a bit. He looks panicked, his face twisted as he stares at the giant beast. The kobold rushes quickly at Tae-hun, who can only blink, frozen face full of fear. DC shouts to reassure him, "Tae-hun, stay focused." He realizes something worrying. No, the boss's presence is overwhelming Tae-hun's spirit. Yet Tae-hun keeps dodging the kobold's attacks but can't do anything else. At this rate, he can't stop that attack. He panics watching what's happening right before him. Tae-hun falls right in front of the leader cobra from its attack. DC shouts, "Tae-hun, He's extremely tense. Damn it, this isn't good." Tae-hun sits trembling on the ground, looking up at the giant cobra. The staff member still stands there, taking no action. DC thinks silently about the association staff. Why aren't they stepping up to help? They said they would help if danger arose. He's very worried. The kobold is about to reach him. If this continues, Tae-hun will... DC clenches his teeth angrily. "Damn it!" He stomps the ground hard, kicking up dust. DC moves toward the shield lying on the ground. He picks up the shield, swings it behind him, and shouts, "Tae-hun, fall back!" The kobold raises its weapon, preparing to strike down at Tae-hun. It quickly slashes where Tae-hun was, but what it hits isn't Tae-hun. It's the shield DC is holding in front of him. He raises the shield to block the kobold's earlier strike. DC uses all his strength, gritting his teeth. The collision sparked bright flames. The kobold slashed across the shield, flames flashing. The kobold growled, its red eyes flashing fiercely. It continued to swing its weapon toward them. DC Ong raised his shield forward. Would it be enough to block? He grimaced, sweat pouring down. If Tae-hun doesn't stay alert and keeps getting attacked by that thing, how can I escape? At this rate, we'll die. Amid the tension, a voice from behind offered some encouragement. Leon caught the kobold's weapon with 2 fingers. One hand in his pocket, the other blocking the weapon. He calmly said, "Try again, DC Ong." Stammering, he said, "What?" He couldn't believe his eyes. He was stopping the Alpha's attack with just his fingers. Leon glanced down and said, "Pick up the shield and strike back once more. If you could do it once, why not a second time? Come on, get up and grab the shield." DC Ong's face twisted. He still didn't get Leon's point. Leon beckoned him, saying, "You need to block its attack and counterattack. Hurry up." DC Ong looked around. "Not now. What are you saying?" He turned to Leon angrily. "Don't you see what's happening? Everyone's in danger," Leon exploded. His eyes blazed like car headlights. "How dare you? You should feel honored to receive training from Leon himself." Dare to argue, Leon crossed his arms, facing DC Ong. For a free soldier to be personally trained by the Holy Knight is a family honor passed down through generations. The debt can never be repaid like the vast ocean. I'm ordering you to block and counterattack with the shield. He looked at him with pity. Feeling frustrated, DC Ong looked up. But to survive, I have to do whatever it takes. The kobold bared its huge teeth and growled thunderously. It charged at the 2 of them once again. Leon said nothing. He just stood there watching it. Suddenly, he unleashed energy. Leon's face turned fierce and deadly. "You mad dog, are you crazy?" The kobold froze. It sweated profusely as if it had seen something terrifying. Ong stood there confused as he watched it. Then he raised his shield in front of him, frowning. The kobold slashed the shield, pushing him back slightly. Ong gritted his teeth, face tense, eyes burning with determination. "I almost dropped the shield." Leon reminded him, "You fool. How can you block with just brute strength holding the shield?" He crossed his arms and instructed, "Don't face off head-on against something stronger than you. Draw your weapon and aim for the gaps." Ong blocked the kobold's attacks while listening carefully. "How can you be confident you'll succeed with only a shield? Your opponent isn't a dummy, but a living beast that learns." He felt annoyed hearing that "use your brain." Ong snapped, "Damn it, then what should I do?" Leon kicked his leg from behind. "Don't take your eyes off the enemy." Ong's eyes widened. "If I hadn't blocked just now, I'd be dead. Focus." Inside the forest rang out, "Don't bury your talent." "Unlock your hidden power," Leon said sternly. "You can do better." Ong was startled hearing that I have talent. I've been a D rank for 10 years with no special skills, just awakened by chance. Facing the current situation, he was up against the alpha kobold. No way. Right in front of him was a dangerous giant beast. Hearing that encouraging phrase, "There's no way I don't have talent." Ong gripped the shield tightly. His eyebrows rose defiantly. "This time I can do it." The kobold charged at him fiercely. Ong shouted, eyes blazing, face grimacing. "I can do this." Its weapon was very close to his shield. The shield was clearly slashed. Sparks flew upon impact. Ong and the kobold kept attacking and dodging continuously. You looked toward the weapon's glancing blow, blocked it. Ong's expression finally relaxed a bit. "I succeeded." Just as he spoke the last word, he took a punch to the face. The kobold threw him far away. Ong lay sprawled on the ground. Leon stood there judging the face. How could you not keep an eye on everything? He lay sprawled with a swollen, bruised face, apparently still very weak. This year's verdict from Guccio D in the spacious, neatly arranged room. You knew the 2 bodyguards standing at the door from the start. Leon showed a displeased look. "No way a soldier that strong is ordinary." Kang Hyuk laughed cheerfully. "I even wore an illusion mask to hide my body and face, but it seems meaningless." President of the Korean Hunters Association, Kang Hyuk. He continued asking Han, "This time you directly participated in the evaluation. Did you achieve what you wanted?" He slowly closed his eyes and said, calmly, "I supervised the candidate for the technician position." Leon's next words startled Kang Hyuk again. "Even without impatience, there's no plan to go abroad." He bowed his head, nodding. "This is really accurate. It seems His Majesty's might is so overwhelming that the mood was a bit tense during the check." Leon also signaled silence to the kobold similar to before. After all, it's a level D dungeon monster boss. That's estimated as above level C. He pointed at it with an angry face. "Filthy creatures can't even be called human. How long do you plan to keep staring at my face?" Then he waved a few times, causing that bug to be defeated. Kang Hyuk smiled, eyes squinting, praising. "You truly treated it like a toy." Leon felt it didn't need to be said like that. That chaotic place isn't a place for a stroll. Kang Hyuk cleared his throat. He sat across from him. "In short, if His Majesty establishes an association, we will support you." His Majesty can guess this, right? Leon listened thoughtfully. "Nothing is easier than reputation. With a reputation, it's easier to rally people. In this era, there aren't many ways to spread reputation other than force." Kang Hyuk's face changed slightly. Suddenly, he became serious. "There's a gate upgraded to red because it failed an attack in the dungeon." Their skulls stacked on each other. A place where no one has completed the battle in a year. Always large and highly destructive. A metal-structured machine with bright red dots, fighting for the intelligence jewel held by Jeff Spinner. "That is the bug from the special gate upgraded to red." Its eyes flashed, "Please destroy it." Amidst the fiery red whirlpool, a huge energy gate opened. The stadium gate in the dungeon. The KPP first attack team entered. The group reached that position. Hansu looked tense. Hojian looked forward at him. "This place is..." He also looked that way. "I know those towering skyscrapers and countless bridges connecting multiple spatial layers are modern civilization. At least it's a civilization more advanced than Earth." Hieri turned, speaking excitedly. "It's truly miraculous. This is the gate to the future world." Hansu couldn't smile. Once there's fantasy or martial arts, there's no such thing as the future world. Hojian suddenly realized, mouth agape. President, this is a server hole. Hansu's eyes were serious. What a headache. If so, we need to change our strategy when fighting monsters. He raised his hand in agreement. Right, because hunter tactics usually involve fighting fewer strong enemies. He glanced at something, then hummed and looked around for a bit. Hansu decided to choose that building as the base. The higher, the easier to observe. The base gate opened. He looked at Hojian. See anything? Hojian collapsed to his knees. Really nothing at all. There isn't a single NPC and no monsters either. Hansu glanced around to see where Jeff Spinner was. Looks like he's the duplicate here. Of course, you're no different from him either. Absolutely nothing in sight. He crossed his arms and looked around, strange indeed. In a big city like this, not seeing a single person or monster is really odd. In the distance, Hansu saw the shape of a warrior. That's the resistance army. Luckily, it's not the oppressive government troops. He turned back to the group. The entire KPP team paid attention. Here he looked worried, although we've entered inside the gate. Information about Jack Spinner is still lacking. Hansu considered anyway we must secure the area around and form a scouting team to try and advance. Suddenly a flash of light streaked by, scattering red sparks everywhere. Hojian, who was sitting nearby, stared blankly. Hansu and Hieri were so shocked they couldn't move. A robot stepped in from the other side and started firing. Everyone take cover, that machine is activating. It pointed its gun forward. An explosion happened. Everything shattered. The KPP group ran for their lives. Ho-Jian looked toward his teammate and shouted, "Damn!" He clenched his teeth in frustration. This is crazy. Even Hansu, an A-level tanker, couldn't react in time. How do we take it down? Ho-Jian grabbed a piece of broken wall. Damn it. At this rate, we'll all die. Have we pinpointed the enemy's location yet? Hieri reported 3 o'clock direction. Due to dust, we can't estimate the distance. She turned to the vice leader. The ground can't hold anymore. Hojian shouted orders. I know everything. Everyone retreat in order. They quickly ran outside. Hurry outside. The building is about to collapse. Hieri ran while wondering, what about the vice leader and the leader's body? Hojian just wanted to get everything under control first. Something felt very strange. We'll fix it and come back later. He gave Hieri an order. You go ahead and check if the exit is safe. She obeyed immediately. Speeding up, yes, I'm going ahead. Near the gate, Hieri turned back and shouted to the vice leader. I don't sense any signs. Seems like the exit is safe. She dashed out toward the gate. Suddenly, she felt something was wrong. Her face froze. Hieri touched her neck. There was a glowing mark on her neck. She was standing surrounded by red threads. Why does her neck feel stuck? Just then, Hojian arrived and saw only some slime splattered around. He tensed, looking outside silently, calling his teammate's name. Hieri? Hojian looked around and still saw clear traces. The steel wires surrounding the entire city were tangled all around. When did they get there? Angry, he drew his sword. Damn it! Clear all of them out. We have to get out of here at any cost. Hojian's eyes hardened. Quickly channel mana into the weapon. Steel wires are just ordinary stuff. Who on earth is behind this? Is the enemy really a person? Each of them cut through the wires themselves. When did he notice something above was watching them from high up? The stats appeared. Jack Spinner appeared. His body was covered in metal. The bullet marks glowed bright red. He adjusted his body into another stance. The armor shot out a blue wire from above where he was perched. Hojian realized the wire was moving toward him. He looked up and saw, then a loud explosion happened. The road broke apart, flying everywhere. A red streak flowed down the side. A groaning sound echoed. The wall cracked with thick dust everywhere. Hojian frowned, breathing heavily. He braced both hands on the rubble, silent. He shouted with a face full of rage. Show yourself, you damn bastard, Zepp! Following the sound, he turned his head in that direction. Hojian saw with his own eyes what was ahead, a robot-like mechanical arm. His voice shaky and his face disheveled, he said, Is that you? Are you Zepp Spinner? It aimed its gun at Hojian. What does the sound of metal sound like? At that time, the girl said if we had this robot, we could still fight even when out of ammo in an emergency. Jack's movements made a sizzling sound. Hojian angrily shouted, This monster is good, very good. Then kill our members. It fired something from its mouth, blue bullets flying everywhere. Jack went searching toward Hojian's direction. No one was left, only bright red streams bursting out. Help me protect this city. Gate 58, Inner City KPP Hunters, First Assault Team, no survivors. Second Assault Team, Third assault team increasing difficulty. Attack, Jack Spinner. The gate boss turned red. Indefinite attack suspension. The inner city gate's hammerhead slammed the ground, sending dust into the air. That person even shouted with delight. John Yon-hyun smirked. This damn weather is as annoying as it was in the video. John Yon-hyun looked ahead with a cold face. Don't enter the inner city. The deeper inside, the higher the chance of encountering Jack Spinner. TC stepped out and spoke coolly. Then, as previously agreed, we will retrieve the Scholar's Gem from the Demon Tower. All rewards totaling 60 billion in cash, the rest will be handed over to the Golden Lion Association. Everyone turned toward one direction upon hearing the announcement of the number of people entering the inner city stadium gate. The Golden Lion Association ranks 10th in Korea. President Hwang Deom Chaeon S., Vice President Hwang John Ha, 47 members from Demon Tower Jutako. Mr. Thwan, S. 48 mercenaries, and Harry carefully poured water into a cup. Your Majesty, please try it. The Korean Hunter Association's Han Haria Leon sipped appreciatively. Not bad. What kind of tea is this? Holding the pot and explaining, this is barley tea. Your Majesty, and there is one more person. The inner city stadium gate started the fourth attack operation. The sky was pitch dark, covered in clouds. The ruined city scene revealed the 4th Reconnaissance Team's camp at the inner city gate. Everyone was fully gathered. Is there something wrong? Harry was confused. I'm worried things are going a bit too smoothly, but at the same time it doesn't seem like it will stay peaceful for long. She paused, then continued, honestly. Leon sat listening to Harry's analysis with a thoughtful expression. I think the best-case scenario is if everything can be resolved smoothly without Your Majesty getting involved, but if that happens, you won't have the chance to boost your own reputation. He bowed his head, lightly laughing. Yes, that would be the best possible outcome. If King Leon I doesn't intervene directly, it means the situation isn't too bad. Leon offered a suggestion. What do you think the role of a king is in a country where I once... Harry hesitated. To govern. A magnificent palace. A king seated on high with a warrior kneeling below. That's true, anyone can take that role unless they're arrogant. I think all rulers are basically the same. She still didn't fully understand. Then as king of the knights... After a moment, Harry realized. Looking back, every time he intervened in previous battles, it was only when the attack was unstoppable. She was unsure of her reasoning and stammered, so the duty of King Leonard is... Leon cut in for her, the last line of defense. He explained thoroughly, do you understand? If King Leonard has to step in, it's a disgrace to the knights. His hand clenched the armrest where he sat. Leon stood up abruptly, his eyes filled with coldness, revealing how serious the situation was. Harry listened intently. Coincidentally, he leaned forward, resting his arms, and bowed his head slightly. It seems I must intervene once again to replace the weak and pathetic like you. I miss my honorable knights so much. The formation of those just now appeared, but this reconnaissance team had Hwang Deom-cheon an S rank and also an A rank mage, so I think everything will be fine. Leon maintained his expression. You call them hunters, right? I admit they do have power far beyond ordinary people. She tried to absorb the information he gave, but Leon's eyes shone brightly, eyebrows raised. They still haven't experienced real war yet. Jack stood in one spot, listening. Is the city's outskirts safe? You seem quite confident with that info, even though you've only faced the enemy 3 times, right? Leon furrowed his brow. You call yourselves the reconnaissance team, judging by the movement patterns of the monsters and acting on the little new information you get. Sounds ridiculous. Harry felt like what he said meant she had understood part of it. Jack still stood there, looking down on a general who would know how to react depending on the situation and how events unfold. There is no standard or pattern for that at all. Leon became dangerous. From what I heard, this so-called Depp Spinner, a loud explosion, what is happening, is a talented war general. Depp's metal body was covered in wounds. I'm sorry. The girl also collapsed, bleeding from her mouth. This is the end for me. She voiced her final wish. So could you do me one last favor? Last order, Armor Spinner Entity Number 10, 253, eliminate all unidentified objects invading the city. Armor raised its gun barrel upwards, continuously firing bullets down towards the city. The warrior shouted, "That's Armor Spinner! Find cover quickly, go!" Z shouted, then collapsed, his body lowered. It was locating groups of objects to attack. Z was covered by a thunderbolt electrical current. The bright lightning tore through the scene. It rushed toward the source of the glowing blue electricity. Every hunter had to find cover behind the walls. In the distance, everyone's faces were tense. The thunder electrical current concentrated in one direction. The scene was chaotic, dust flying thickly. A grimacing young man swore, "Damn it, the earth and rocks are collapsing." Many people were buried underneath. What kind of damn monster is this? Z retracted his gun barrel after a series of shots. The living creature's response showed 23% had disappeared. He began firing to increase suppression effect. While waiting to reload, Zeum Cheon flew in from afar, energy charging at 48%. He gripped the hammer tightly in his hand, using all his strength to attack to kill. Ji Hyun Cheon struck the hammer towards Jack. The impact caused an explosion. One side of it was smashed. Electricity leaked from the body. It had taken damage. Internal pressure increased. Jack turned toward him, changing priority to eliminate the unidentified object. John Young-hoon smiled brightly. "Too late for this scrap metal." John Young-hoon's hair stood straight up. "I told you already." She was furious to the extreme. His whole body seemed to be burning as he advanced toward the battle. John Ha flew through, attacking as fast as lightning. Only the explosion from the collision was seen. "Don't call me John Young-hoon." Jim John praised, "Well done, trash." Collapsed with electricity leaking all over his body. A large bolt of lightning shot upward, illuminating the entire area. TC extended his hand forward, making an attack gesture. "I will take care of the rest." Z stood still, his body too damaged. Damage received was increasing, urgently purging the target. The radar system was down. However, it still had some residual energy for positioning, allowed to use limited resources. The light on the barrel glowed bright red. Activated the RVL device inside the city. The first target it aimed at was TC. Risk level 3, priority elimination. Z jumped away from them. "Look at it, it's running, hurry, and chase." It ran while turning the gun back toward the people behind. It continuously fired towards them. "Stop." TC held a glowing orb in his hand. "I will activate the field to cause interference and gather in one spot." "Give me that." He stomped hard on the ground, creating a crack. The glowing orb expanded, lighting up the whole area. A bullet flew toward the glowing circle at high speed but was pushed away elsewhere, could not penetrate inside. The companion praised him. "Gil Tasung, huh? These are the bullets being fired that were deflected." TC confidently posed. It was a magical tool created to fight Dep Spinner. "Unfortunately, I had to use it so early, but the system inside the shoe notified a risk factor appeared. Detected abnormal status. Began system maintenance and recovery. Indicators appeared one after another on the analysis screen, completing coordinates D15S37F11. The associate standing next to TC suddenly got shot, blood spurting from his mouth. Fire. His face turned pale, his eyebrows furrowed. Impossible. It calculated the bullet trajectory to curve around the shield. Jack kept firing the pre-calculated shots continuously. What the hell is that thing? The protective circle exploded inside. How is that possible? One of the hunters shouted, "Mage Jutsung! Please turn off that interference force field. Predicting the current bullet trajectory is too difficult." TC, damn it, I'm turning it off. Attack now while the force field is down. Everyone's face was tense, twisted in worry. Their eyes squinted, wrinkles clearly showing. One was Ji Hyun Cheon shouting, making everyone look back. "Everyone stop. They're surrounded on all sides by wires." Everyone looked at Dora and the wires. At that moment, he didn't just run away. Jack was weaving each wire during that time. How could he have arranged all of this? He opened a part of the gun barrel, flipping it open. As stood among the wires, the power source around him was charging. TC stood with mouth agape, sweat pouring non-stop. No way. How can they be standing inside those bright green wires right now? We gathered in one place to avoid fire, but it turned out to be a fatal mistake. Now we can't move to dodge the fire. The armor kept receiving power into the body, completing the charge. It flipped open again, firing a red beam. From afar, a horse galloped toward them. John Ha turned at the sound. The horse's eyes shone brightly. It bit through each wire with its teeth. Is that a horse sound? It's been a while since I gently stroked a horse's body. Leon stood beside the horse, stroking the reins. His face was gentle, an old friend. Leo mounted the horse easily. Leon calmly held the reins as John Ha looked on in surprise. He proudly rode the horse standing in front of the hunters. Leon spoke sternly. "Soldiers, listen up," he said firmly to Jack. "Courage can help you charge through an enemy army alone. I am King Leon. I greatly respect those like you." Leon held the reins with both hands, his face full of confidence. "I grant you glory and respect with an honorable one-on-one duel. I grant you the right to fight me." The sound echoed where everyone stood. No one said another word. Oh, warriors. But everyone was actually confused. Everyone seemed to hold back laughter. Is he crazy? Everyone was stunned hearing Jack's words. "I grant you the honor to meet Dragon Eye and the honor to fight a king like me, warriors. I allow you to fight me." Rep over there was equally confused. He didn't understand what was happening either. He ramped up the electric current power around him, growing stronger, setting the acceleration time of the electronic rifle. Power increased by 13%. Danger level does not exclude uncertain factors. Leon swung his weapon. The light from the weapon glowed red as he charged forward. "Let's go." He rode forward with bravery. Oh, warriors. His horse's eyes blazed as he charged forward, ignoring the bullet paths. Jack started shooting from above. Leon's face tensed. He shouted loudly, "Warriors, don't let those ordinary long-range weapons attack." He rode the horse, charging toward Jack as if nothing could stop him. On one side, electric bullets fired. On the other, Leon and his steed galloped forward. Blinding light right in front of Leon covered half his face. The collision caused an explosion. Everything shattered. Jack's body was also blasted into pieces. The explosion emitted blinding light debris flying everywhere. The crack on its body was caused by an electric shock. For a fleeting moment, the AI feature of the Jack Spinner self-propelled gun stopped working. Leon smiled smugly. The phenomenon happening before his eyes, even logical reasoning couldn't explain it. It was truly powerful. The Jack system identified the weapon he was carrying as an old-style spear. Although the speed might be fast, the damage was not significant. Its gun barrels glowed with a level of danger. There was no need to deal with it, just attack with the electronic rifle as is. The machine's intelligence made an extremely wise choice. Leon's eyes lit up. 3 seconds earlier, a thin membrane preventing those small objects from forming had been created. A motion model with abnormal physical phenomena was recorded. The assumed range, he moved quickly toward Jack 2 seconds earlier, firing a bullet from the electronic rifle to eliminate the target with the next shot. As the target entered the assumed range, 2 bullets flew weaving between each other. And with 1 second left, the bullet's explosion occurred right behind Leon. The bullet was deflected. Rapid horse charges quickly approached. Without any collision or obstruction process, the only result was that it was deflected without any other process. But nothing could stop him and his horse from reaching a powerful charge skill that all knights could use, even facing a super weapon, the strongest of humanity. Armor continuously fired bullet after bullet, yet it still had to obey the laws of physics. Leon blocked the bullets with his spear under the protection of holy magic. His gaze was sharp and determined. Knights always possess the strength in any attack to possibly defeat their opponent unconditionally in one strike. A massive energy beam was fired. The blinding light tore through the sky and shook the entire scene. Leon stood watching the desolate scene ahead, the smoke and dust thick. The electric power discharged from Jack's body. Physical phenomena that couldn't be explained by logical reasoning were incomprehensible. Leon's eyes shone brightly. He stared at it intently. The threat level of the enemy had to be raised to dangerous levels. Jack opened the top right hatch and immediately left the battlefield. It released a stream of gas upwards. Leon sneered, grumbling in discomfort as he looked at the debris it left on the ruins, just running away. A mysterious figure, a glowing purple energy orb, hovered mysteriously in the dense fog. "Jack, protect this place. Don't let anyone get close." The bright red eye in the center shone vividly in the darkness. The destroyed part fell onto the metal floor. Temporarily processed 5 regular bullets and 36 homemade bullets. The bullets lay balanced in rows. Need to manufacture 657 bullets that can be used in the 60mm machine gun. Jack is in the charging area. Damage needs to be checked and weapons recalibrated for use. The red glowing eyes indicate danger. 5 old-style combat weapons, but strength cannot be judged. The process of regenerating and analyzing opponent information is ongoing. Continuous white-blue lightning bolts shot out, wrapping around the walls and spreading. A girl appeared faintly. Jack thanked her for protecting the city. Jack's parts were fully repaired, recovery and analysis completed. Black mist and electric energy emanated around the body, ready to continue the mission. The city with high-rise buildings and the sports complex in Jewel's City Center Zone B. The hunter group stepped cautiously into the alleys. They moved carefully. One person in the group called out to stop by a wall. Something protruded 250 meters ahead down the alley across the street. Some bastard just fired a cannon. Dino held his sword and moved forward, warning the distant warriors to carefully climb to the opposite building. The rest waited here. If that bastard notices us, alert us immediately. Suddenly he turned around unexpectedly. Those behind Dino were cut by slashing wires. He panicked, his face pale, sweat dripped down his cheek. His wide eyes showed clear shock. Dino grabbed his sword and swung, shouting someone's name loudly. Dino slashed around the light from the sword's trail shining. Some bastard. He grimaced, sweat pouring down more and more. Clearly, Dino was sliced across the face by something, leaving a red streak. The wires appeared tangled everywhere again. They caused countless injuries and took many lives. It stood there admiring the scene he created. Completed removing the 5 external variables causing changes. A sound from the other side caught its attention. Alex looked dreadful, running for his life. I don't want to die. Confirming the living beings still remaining. Z's red eyes lit up, identifying the target and the level of danger. Alex ran, crying pitifully. He tripped and smashed his face into the grass. Jack approached him. Someone help me, I don't want to die. It stood in front of Alex, watching. Metallic sounds echoed from Jack's body. Its legs slowly lifted, touching the tombstone. The image of the girl touching Jack reminded her of this. She stood there quietly. Sooner or later, I will be buried here like the others. If so, I will forever be part of this city. She gave a gentle smile. Then please protect this city for me, Jack. Jack's red eyes glowed brighter. Power flowed continuously. Priority analysis. Second priority to attack intruders. Priority analysis, third priority to eliminate them. Alex hugged the tombstone, tears streaming down. Autonomous judgment to make direct decisions when detecting enemies. If necessary, priority order will be changed. Suddenly, Jack couldn't harm me. Was I saved? It jumped high and left. Someone spoke up. Alex looked over. It's okay now, kid. He collapsed. Mr. GUTCO, thank you. Mr. TCO doesn't understand what happened either. Alex explained that machine didn't kill me, just ran away. He stood up, waving his hands. Could it be because it saw Mr. JTCO arriving? Afraid of being defeated, it left. No one accompanied him. Of course, fighting Mr. JTCO is too much for that machine. Sunlight shone on this place. All are tombs, but strangely it's very clean here. But why is this the only clean place in the whole city? Jack flew over the city rooftops. The system inside his body reported increased enemy forces. Win rate 92%. But special case, so final decision retreat. TC turned his back, giving the order. This is a strange place. Leave quickly. Yes, the tombstones are placed in a bright location. Final priority decision is to protect the people even if they are already dead. Lay at the charging station. Electric current from the machine flowed into Z's body. Estimated remaining enemy forces about 49. Risk level 5. Probability to defeat threat factors 35.7%. Continue monitoring the battle. Someone from afar watched Zod's charging and repairs. Glanced over here. Leon stood hiding behind the door. He hummed. Leon appeared. He smiled warmly. Did you have fun playing with those bullets? Leon is a strong believer in chivalrous spirit. It's no exaggeration to call him the embodiment of a man with a knight's spirit. He despises battles and killing each other, always pursuing just struggles. Leon frowned in annoyance, then finished preparing his lunch. Jep glanced with red eyes. A beam of light emitted from his eyes. An explosion occurred there. But of course, opponents will always try to cheat. He appeared from the ashes of the fire. Even so, Leon never lost his gallant knightly virtue. He held the sword firmly. Even if knocked down, this knight's human incarnation won't surrender. Leon strode proudly. The wind whipped his coat. He has an extremely strong aura. He was chosen by the gods for that reason. In the smoke, Jack stands in front fighting the machinery for honor. Sounds ridiculous, right? It turns the gun forward. Checking equipment, 480 rounds of 60mm cannon shells. The armored reporter fires bullets toward Leon. Each bullet lands, causing sparks of gunfire. He smirks with strong eyes. The protective barrier of the holy magic R stands firm in front. The model unifies an abnormal physical phenomenon. Bullets fly past, analyzing the curved trajectory of bullets coming from all directions. Position F12 N23 Q31. 3 bullets simultaneously fly toward Leon. When shooting, he shows no sign of fear. He even smiles mysteriously. Leon stomps hard on the ground, cracking the earth where he stands. Rocks fly high, sparks flash as dust rises. Thick smoke obscures the scene. Jack stands watching, then shouts a few words from the beam of light. A black figure flies upward. Z recognizes it and fires a red beam from his eye. He flinches as it happens. Leon and his steed burst out from the dust. Both look extremely valiant. He raises his weapon. His eyes flash as if ready to devour everything. Z weakens and slowly retreats. Then it continuously fires bullets at him. The bullets cannot reach Leon. They cannot hit the target. He laughs mockingly. "You want to play hide-and-seek with me?" Jack jumps away along the chain path. This cannot be. Leon rides his horse and slashes across a long line. Explosions occur along the chain path. This cannot be. Jack uses full speed to escape. Behind him, Leon chases. How can a mere entity have such strength? The two move so fast it creates wind. One of its legs hooks onto a pole on the road. It uses momentum to launch forward quickly. This can't be real. Leon shouts to charge forward to take down the target. The steed rushes toward the teeth. The horse neighs. It dodges to the side as bullets fly right behind. Leon fires a bullet carefully dodged earlier. He stops briefly. The horse also pants heavily. Leon sighs. He looks directly at Jack. Not bad. He looks back without saying more. The gun barrel points forward again. The horse has to jump to dodge bullets. Jack fires from above. Leon controls the horse to dodge very precisely. The gun barrel continuously fires downward. Leon quickly dodges those bullets. Each bullet fired downward brings danger. Like an automatic machine. Jack keeps firing continuously. He still manages to dodge those bullets. Everything shatters and scatters. Leon's eyes blaze brightly. He shouts loudly, "Ayo Kudaku!" The horse stomps the ground hard. It gains momentum from the broken stones and leaps higher. Soon it matches Jack's level. Leon rides his warhorse straight ahead. Jack adjusts the mechanism to fire 68 small bullets simultaneously. The gun barrel works at full capacity. Bullets fire at the same time toward Leon. He dodges while using his spear to break them. Jack is stunned, not expecting him to avoid them all. Leon angrily shouts, "I am Leon, proud and full of dignity." He slashes his spear forward. A strong beam of light appears. A big explosion occurs. Everything is engulfed by dust and rocks. Suspended in the air is a piece of Jack's body still leaking electricity. Electric currents escape. The critical strike is disabled. The warning light activates inside Jack's system. Nothing sealed here must be taken outside. His red eyes widen. The self-destruct process begins. The light shines brighter than the sun, destroying the entire arsenal. Everything is engulfed by it. Leon witnesses in shock. Flames erupt, burning everything. Jack Black remains intact where the explosion occurred, the cargo bay. The strong smell of oil. Jack Spinner grabs him. "Step aside, I will protect the city. That is my duty." The sharp accessory branch stabbed into him. Only a slimy red streak remained on his body. The red eye stared intently at what it had just done. Round bumps appeared all over its body. Armor fired a series of bullets. There was only one target, a growling beast. Deploying fire support. A squadron of machines like Armor appeared to protect the city, protecting the city. Armor Spinner was moving toward the city and defeating the enemies. The city's protector. Armor Spinner truly was a hero. Everyone below revered the story of the unmanned machines saving the city on the brink of destruction. It was a sweet story for the city's people who were losing hope. The armor wore the wreath of pride. Those machines were symbols of hope. They had become brave knights in battle. The armor fought with all its might. It destroyed many large monsters. The armor spinners were restructured, including code number 10253. Under the final commander's leadership, the city was protected even if Jack was shattered in battle. Safe now, it fought with all its might. The city was protected. The city was engulfed in flames until true peace finally came to this place. The girl used her last strength to instruct Jack Daw. This was her final plea: protect this city. Listen silently. Absolutely do not take that thing outside. The last remaining combat machine received its final order. That purple gem still had a soul left. Absolutely no one must approach it. The city was rebuilt. Stop everything. The monsters were destroyed and protect that thing. Z fought with all his might, blocking, protecting it, eliminating all blocking, protecting. At this moment, Z collapsed, done finished. Leon looked down and sighed, falling all the way down, yet still wanting to protect this place to the end. He glanced at the purple gem and the other thing he looked at coldly. May I ask, is that exactly what you are trying to protect? Leon drew his sword from the void and spoke to the gem with wisdom, taking slow steps closer. That was something that shouldn't exist. Something made him hesitate looking back. The armor, though dying, still wanted to protect, still wanted to resist me. It tried to lift its body. It seemed you had long been guarding this many years alone, watching over it. Leon's eyes blazed. Indeed, a loyal knight. Everyone will be grateful for your loyalty and dedication. Light enveloped the armor spinner. Leon raised his sword high. Light spread everywhere. Your mission is complete. I solemnly declare it's all over. He stood there, shining like a god. The cliffs cracked gradually. The beam of light shattered everything and rose up. Leon stood looking ahead. The gem shattered the machine, gave a few last sounds. Rest in peace. Silence filled the space. Light bathing everything restored peace. Thank you, Jack. The two were walking down the corridor when Kang Hyuk suddenly stopped. So that's how it was. He questioned Leon. Did you destroy the gem? Leon turned coldly and said, Are you dissatisfied? He laughed heartily with no pretense. No. Your Majesty, you were the one who defeated Armor Snip, so the right to decide the gem's fate naturally belongs to you. Leon frowned and said to him, You don't need to regret it because that thing is nothing but poison. Kang Hyuk's eyes widened in surprise. Poison. Then he explained that gem was created to tempt humans through intelligence and endless curiosity. It was a demon's creation. Before he finished, the other man interrupted, trembling. A demon. Leon continued, explaining, his gaze growing colder. At first it listens to the desires of its owner, but gradually it demands a price for what was gained, like raising a pet. During feeding it slowly tames us, corroding our humanity with trivial temptations like the dream of immortality, then gradually making people lose their humanity and turn into demons in a short time. He then changed the subject. Have you found another gem? We must destroy it quickly. The man was horrified. Is that so? I will promptly notify the U.S. government about this. He immediately replied, Fine. Shortly after, the two of them reached the laboratory door. Then Leon suddenly remembered and said, But it's very likely someone has already been tempted by the demon. The laboratory door slowly opened heavily inside the room. The researchers were all diligently working. As he stepped in to observe, he turned to ask Kang Hyuk, Is this where that thing was buried? He quickly replied, Yes, exactly. The two of them continued to look around. Saw someone holding papers, walking somewhere. He and the two behind stopped to stare intently at the object in front of them. The light from the ceiling also shone down on the broken sandal. They stood silently for a while, Leon and him also staring fixedly at it. Kang Hyuk curiously asked, What should we do with it? A month later he answered, It's a revered knight. We should bury it and bring it before the gods. But first we must perform a celebration ritual. Before finishing, Leon produced a glass studded with sparkling stones, making Kang Hyuk's eyes widen in surprise. He held the glowing glass up, staring intently at the bottom, silently murmuring, O loyal knight. Leon closed his eyes as if to feel it, then tilted the glass in one direction. Rest in peace. A bright stream poured out onto the broken object, then the glow grew larger, as if wanting to envelop the entire room. Before their astonished eyes, a miracle happened. The object that was once scrap began to mend and move. It gradually moved to the edge of the stone table and lightly tapped it. Kang Hyuk was extremely surprised. Jack Spinner is moving. But Leon's expression remained cold, as if he had predicted it. He just sat quietly and felt this. The jack was half broken, but still quietly making noise. The screen still displayed light. Suddenly, the lever began to activate. The pliers worked very smoothly. He looked at them and thought silently, This feeling is really strange. Although there's no power source, thanks to the blessing, it can still operate. The pliers moved toward the circuit and repaired it by itself. It looked very professional. It even lightly touched the moving mechanism as if provoking. Strong light shone down from the ceiling. The damaged parts became clearer. Jack emitted a signal as if trying to say something to Leon. He understood and drew his sword. So that's it. Although he didn't know if this was the goddess's choice or not. The long sword emitted a dazzling light. Jack was also startled. He stuck the sword straight into the ground with a loud sound. The earth and stone cracked apart. Leon closed his eyes, thinking of something. His hand was still on the sword hilt. Kang Hyuk couldn't help but be surprised, silently thinking. The researchers just stood there with their mouths wide open in shock. What is that? Jack also stared intently at the glowing sword. Leon's gaze fixed on the sword as if drawing all the light into his sight. He coldly gripped the sword hilt tighter. His eyes remained unshaken. The intense light was so strong it made Kang Hyuk and the nearby researcher stagger. Suddenly, lightning streaked across the radiant silhouette of a girl gradually appearing before them all. Kang Hyuk just stood there stammering, sweating profusely. How could he and the others kneel down on the floor as if they couldn't believe their eyes? Everyone there had the intuition that a woman appearing in that brilliant light could definitely not be human. She could only be something sacred beyond any comparison in this world. The girl appearing in the radiant halo looked both miraculous and mysterious. At this moment, Leon gently said, "Your Grace, Ariana." Her gentle voice rose, "Leon, my first engineer. Tell me what is happening." Leon's gaze froze for a long moment. He kept thinking. Then slowly replied, "Lord." Jack Spinner is a revered knight, a role model for all knights, so I hope Lady Ariana will consider knighting him. She then stared intently at Jack, her eyes gradually moved. He was also eagerly awaiting her promotion, so he was extremely focused. She only replied, "But it did not carry out my mission, although it has proven its honor that glory is not offered to me." Leon looked up at Ariana, his hand still placed on my chest as the first knight of the goddess Lionheart, assuring that this person is a great knight. Ariana then smiled gently. "If my knight said so." Leon's eyes were now eagerly awaiting every word from her. She continued, "Then I don't need to consider anything further." She extended her hand toward it, but I also need to verify a little. "O knight made of iron and steel of this world, I have heard your story from the Lionheart. Knight, will you praise light and justice?" Jack was curious about how she would challenge him. She looked at it with a bright smile. "Honor and wisdom are abundant, but that temperament is no different from a child." Then she ordered him to help it purge evil to become my knight. Leon turned to look at it again. It was still making sounds expressing agreement. He glanced at it with a meaningful smile. One of its legs quickly started moving, followed by the other 3 legs. It was moving quickly toward the edge of the table. Then it let out several fierce sounds. The goddess was still watching every gesture of it, and those around were sitting there, very curious. The system display was hacking into the sound and language transmission unit, setting up a language module. Ariana still smiled gently. Suddenly its voice rang out, confirming its system, then emitted the sound of a demon attacking a deity. She looked at it with a light smile, seeming very amused. Then she spread her arms. "All right, Jack Spinner." The palm of her hand emitted a brilliant light. "If you pledge loyalty to my first knight and contribute to him, you will share in the glory." She shone a giant light down on Jack as a sign of Ariana's approval. Leon was also on one side, hearing the order that only the Knight of the Holy Grail would be entrusted with the mission of glory and justice. Jack appeared with an upgraded version, becoming the Holy Grail Knight, looking very dashing. Scene change. Meanwhile, at the Mata branch of the United States, a voice trembling and hurriedly called out, "Forgive me, great existence." In Ronald Selman Bang Mata's room, the voice continued, "For failing to achieve what you requested." A voice from the underworld echoed, "So foolish that you couldn't even accomplish something so simple. I taught you the truth and wisdom of Samra, but you have disappointed me greatly." The man knelt down, bowing to the bright red orb. "Sorry. Please forgive me." Ronan kept explaining. "But I had no other choice. You survived. That Leon is a variable we did not anticipate." The voice from the orb shouted, "Stop polluting my ears with trivial excuses." "Who the hell is that?" Leon just started cursing, then remembered he didn't know who that was. Surprising Ronan. Then the voice reminded him, "Hey, turn on the news quickly." He could only flatter and quickly do as told. "Yes, great existence." He grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. The screen showed him introducing "I am Lion Heavenly King Leon Dragonia Leonard." His words drove the orb crazy. It kept yelling, "What? That bastard Leon is here, why?" Ronald was also shocked. His master thought fearfully in his head, "Yeah." The voice then sounded, "I give up, I'm not doing this damn thing anymore," saying that it ran away. The red light disappeared as well. He was sweating profusely, calling his master, helplessly hugging the orb, "Master, master." His eyes became filled with extreme fear. His master screamed in fear, "Master!" And then the gem never spoke again. At the Korean Hunter Association inside the laboratory in the high-rise building, a voice rang out, "So Kang Hyuk, continue. We will register you, Jack Spinner, as your chairman." He seemed unfamiliar with this way of address and smiled brightly. It will be a bit difficult to get everything done properly. Immediately, Leon interrupted. No problem. They stepped out of the laboratory. The large iron door slammed shut. Both remained silent for a while. Jack made a sound as if he wanted to say something, then suddenly Leon coughed harshly, covering his mouth with his hand and almost spat out a strange liquid. Jack immediately made a sound. Are you okay, my knight? Leon wiped off the remaining spots with a handkerchief and replied, I'm still fine. He thought to himself that recommending a Holy Grail knight to a place lacking divinity caused him too much harm. As that his feet kept signaling as if feeling very guilty. Leon sighed and comforted. It's not your fault, it's because the god isn't strong enough. A voice then rang out, How can that be your fault? It's due to my shortcomings. At those words, he hesitated for a long moment. Leon placed his hand on his chest and explained, No matter what happens, you can't blame the gods. Please don't say that. The gentle voice continued, My knight. His eyes became more pensive than ever. Ariana said, I have always been grateful for your loyalty. This is my fault and that of the other gods for not intervening sooner. Leon's eyes softened gradually. He was curious to hear what she would say next. Ariana advised, Rest now. Always keep faith in your god and wait for them. Leon still had his hand on his chest, deeply confused, Lady Ariana. Then Ariana appeared in another dimension. In front of her were 3 close companions. Ariana called to them, Brothers and sisters. She gently spoke to them. We must help our followers. Scene change. The day King Leon Hutch turned 121 was the day the world decayed, leaving only one knight. He had expelled all divine power from his world and held it within his heart. The gods were shameful, abandoning the heart of that noble knight. Then they continued to watch King Leon Hutch wipe out all monsters in 185. They had placed the entire burden of the world on one human's shoulders. That person was none other than Leon. He was always there, knowing how to shine at the right moment to protect the world. So all the gods at Pantheon owed an unpayable debt to Leon. In a pristine white room, 4 people sat chatting animatedly. A sigh was heard. Demira anxiously asked Han, How is that child's condition? Ariana replied, Not good, my knight has overexerted himself. Demira jumped up urgently, asking, What should we do? Betos slammed his hand on the armrest, sounding a bit angry. Is it right to assign only one Holy Grail knight to bear so much pressure? He rubbed his head helplessly. What has become of King Leon Hutch, who radiated the aura of the Holy Spirit? Betos was the god of war and fire. Hearing this, Ariana immediately reminded him, Keep your pride. He has fought for our gods for over 200 years and finally won. He shouted, I know that's why I'm angry at myself. The tense atmosphere quickly returned. Everyone had their own worries. Demira lowered his head, not daring to say more. Ariana also murmured sadly, 185. After a moment, she continued, It's time for us to speak up, brothers and sisters. Everyone looked at her and listened attentively. I can't watch my knight suffer any longer. Suddenly, a hand raised and a voice spoke. I have an idea. She said, Please go ahead. The man said, Like how the god of life did with the plains, we should bless everything we can to build trust with the people. That was the god of steel and blacksmith Heto. God Pitos glanced at him. You want us to take on a missionary role? He nodded. Yes, we will show humans the miracles of the gods. And from what we have witnessed through the followers of life, this world is connected by something called the Internet. Hearing that, Demira suddenly became enthusiastic and continued, We will use the Internet to do that. Pitos Tomo asked back, But why hasn't King Leon Hutch ever thought of this? He used to be a citizen of this world. The man answered slowly. He was here before the Internet became widespread. Only then did Ariana become curious. But what about steel and the testing and failures? The information Leon provided cost 25 to the root. After hearing this, he only smiled lightly, and then folded his arms, slowly replying, That's when our Holy Grail knight stepped in. Scene change. In the control room, suddenly Jisoo heard a voice. Manager, look at this. He startled and ran over. The bald guy pointed at the screen and asked, This is on YouTube. Is this allowed? Jisoo was still confused. YouTube. Looking at what was displayed on the screen, he broke out in sweat. What is this? A series of data displayed on the screen made Jisoo uneasy. On the Nazu plane, YouTuber sweat increasingly dripped down his forehead as he thought, this screen shows the Pantheon TV channel live streaming prayers before and after each meal to thank the goddess Demera. Jisoo clicked to watch the video content, Why Go to the Hospital? An office worker who once looked down on farmers. A saying from an old farmer changed him. The next video was just cold rice, but with only one spoon your life can change. Next was content asking, who goes to God, unexpected results. He scrolled down to the comments below the video and thought, it's all clickbait. The quality of the video was also very high. Not only Jisoo, but the other two also watched the video curiously. He broke out in sweat again and asked his staff, who made these? The bald guy answered, Pantheon. Isn't that Leon's boss? Jisoo asked suspiciously. Do you think he'd use YouTube? The employee replied, no. But could it have been Assistant Han? Jisoo suddenly remembered how Harry often asked very simple questions and immediately dismissed it. She knows nothing about computers. He rested his hand on a nearby planning board, analyzing, the bigger issue is these videos aren't clickbait. They're all real. Jisoo became worried. What are we going to do now? Thinking to himself, what is he planning to do? Then Jisoo turned his back and left. I'm stepping out for a bit. The two called after him. Where are you going? He picked up his phone and replied coldly, I'm going to meet that Leon guy.